everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah and today we're going to talk about my May TBR. So in true Sarah fashion, I have created quite a thick book stack for myself, with May being my busiest month of the year, or one of the busiest months of the year, with it being the last month of school for both myself and my son. We have all of the May activities, all of the end of year activities at both of our schools. So I know that I'm going to be here, there, and everywhere and exhausted. So, of course, I have picked probably just about every single chunky book known to man to put onto my TBR for the month of May. Now, before I show you what all I have picked, I do want to point out I am not participating in any readathons this month. So the books that I have chosen, I am actually uh, using my reading journal to help me. So this is what it looks like, what that page in my journal looks like, with the different prompts. And then when I finish it, I'll write the name of the book inside of the prompt. I can just show you, just kind of like that. That one's from February. But anyways, without any further ado, let's take a look at the prompts that helped guide me to pick the books that I want to read. All right, so the first prompt that I have is a book with illustrations inside. And so I am going to reread When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker, because the second book in the series, The Ballad of Fallen Dragon, is coming out on May 19th, I believe, which is, I think, probably my most anticipated. Well, I'll say one of my top two most anticipated, because Penn Cole did announce that Burn of the Everflame is going to release later on this year, which I'm so excited for. But this, going into 2026, this was my most anticipated release. And so since it's been 2 years since I read it, I wanted to reread it to, kind of help me remember everything, because it was a very complex world building fantasy romance. And so I knew that I was going to have to reread it, because I didn't think that a recap was going to do this book justice. And so I'm really excited about that. This is my beautiful Fairy Loot edition, and I've already pre-ordered the Ballad of Fallen Dragons Fairy Loot edition, but that won't come until later on this year. So I am going to try to read the sequel through my library. I have it uh, set to alert me when my library gets those copies available. And so hopefully I can get, higher up on the wait list, because I know that it's going to fill up really quickly once it becomes available. So already that is two chunky books that I have on my TBR. And I guess I should show you the illustrations inside. Like, why did I pick this book for that prompt? Because each chapter has these beautiful illustrations, like at the top of each chapter. But then within the book as well, there are other illustrations like letters and signs, um, like a wanted sign. And everything. And so I thought that this book would, kind of fits this prompt really, really well. So I will be reading that book, and then we'll also be reading The Ballad of Fallen Dragons, hopefully in May, if I can get the Libby hold before the month is up. Next up, we have a book with multiple authors, and another May release is Fury Bound, which is the sequel to Dire Bound, which is written by Sable Sorensen, which I did not know up until maybe a month or two ago was actually a writing duo. So this one will fit that prompt. Now, I am tentatively, or not so much tentatively, but going into this with a little bit of trepidation, I guess you could say, because I did not love Dire Bound. I know it's just, I think it might have been the wrong time when I read it. I read it, I think in the summer. I buddy read it with my friend Katie from I Would Rather Be Reading. I want to say we did it during the summer, and I was kind of getting into my reading slump. I was reading a ton of romantasy at the time, to get ready for Villains and Vixens, and I think that I was, just kind of had enough, and so I didn't love it. But I am going to read a recap of it going in, and hopefully I will enjoy the second book more. But if not, if I end up not liking it or DNFing it, I do have a backup, which is I'm going to just continue on in the Bonded by Thorns series, which is written by the sister duo Elizabeth Helen. So that's what I'm going to read for those for that prompt, written by multiple authors. The next reading prompt is a book that has a king or a queen. And so for that, I am actually reading two books because I am up to the tandem read in my Throne of Glass reread. So I have Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn, which I have always done the tandem read for this. And so I, plan to, I'm buddy reading this with a friend, Kelly, that I work with at school. Um, and so we decided that we were going to tackle the tandem read in the busiest month of the school year. But I kind of like gave her the option, and she said that she wanted to do it, so we're going to do it. And I think that I'm going to kind of have this like as my background. Like I'm probably going to read this throughout the whole entire month. That way I don't feel like I have to rush because I'm really enjoying the reread. Um, but like I said, it's like my third time reading the series, so it's not like something that takes a lot of mental load. So it's something I can kind of just read through a little bit at a time, in the background with all my other reads going on. The next reading prompt is A Mountain on the Cover. And so for that, I am going to read Cash by Jessica Peterson. This is the first book in the Lucky River Ranch. And you can see that there are like mountains in the background. This is a small town cowboy romance, set in somewhere in Texas. And our main character, Molly, she has been estranged from her father, and he passes away. And so he leaves his cattle ranch to her. And so she has to move back to her childhood small town um, Texas ranch that she left as a child. And so she is forced to work alongside the ranch hand named Cash, who I guess she doesn't really get along with. It says that he's rude, he's growly, and he wants her gone. So it seems like it's going to be like reluctant allies to lovers, or like a little bit of enemies to lovers situation going here. Cowboy romance, small town, like all of these things are things that I really enjoy. So I am hoping that I enjoy this book. Next up, we have a book with a bright cover. And so I am going to read The Shippers, which is by Catherine Center. This is an arc that I have through NetGalley. This one releases sometime in May. I want to say maybe May 19th, but like sometime in May it is releasing. So I do want to go ahead and get to this month so that I can write my review. I really enjoy Catherine Center. I've enjoyed every single book of hers that I've read. So I'm really excited for this one. And I don't know a whole lot about this book except for that it is like set on a cruise ship, and it is a romance between like childhood best friends, like childhood best friends to lovers romance. And that the female main character, I guess, has been like unlucky in love, or like it has a hard time committing. And so, Catherine Center always, has really good sense of humor. So I'm expecting a really fun time with this book. And as you can see, like I've got the cover popped up on the screen somewhere. It is a very bright cover. So this fits for that prompt perfectly. Next, we have a book set in a hotel. And so I have chosen to read The Faraway Inn by Sarah Beth Durst. This is the same author who wrote The Spell Shop and like The Enchanted Greenhouse. This is a young adult cozy fantasy, which I am reading it through my library. However, I do believe that I am getting a special edition of it in one of my subscription boxes. Um, so I'm really excited. I really have enjoyed Sarah Beth Durst's writing and like just the coziness of her fantasies. And so I am excited to read this one. But like I said, it is a young adult cozy fantasy. The main character, she I guess like lives in New York, but is sent to her aunt's bed and breakfast for the summer, like in small town Vermont. And when she gets there, she realizes that her aunt didn't know that she was coming. She doesn't want her there. The inn is really run down. And so she spends her summer like trying to convince her aunt to fix the place up and everything. And then as she's, working to help restore this bed and breakfast, she realizes that there's some kind of like magical going on within this inn. And so she has to like discover like what magic has been hidden and everything along the way. So it sounds like it's going to be really cute. I'm really excited to give this one a try. And I'm also using this book for the Buzzword Cover Challenge because for May it has to be a book cover that has like a frame around the cover. And so I'm chose this one because the flowers are kind of like framing around the edges of the book. It's a really pretty cover, so I can't wait to see what my special edition will look like whenever it comes. The bonus prompt for May was to read a book from a little free library. That's a little bit of a tongue twister. From a little free library. I have quite a few little free libraries that are in like the area where I live. None are really close to where I live to where like I could walk up to it. So I did have to, get in the car and take a little bit of a drive. And I spent one weekend just kind of hopping around. I ended up going to like 7 or 8 different free libraries within like this um, neighborhood that's kind of close to where my son goes to school, and was not really having a lot of luck. There were tons of books in all of the libraries, but none that were really books that I was interested in reading. And it got to the point where I was starting to give up hope. And it's like, if I can't find anything, then I'm just going to go to my public library and find the first book that, looks interesting to me and check it out through them. Um, but then I finally did stop at one. And like it was just kind of like books that were stacked, not really organized. So I, was pulling the books out and everything. And at the bottom of the stack, we found The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. Now, this is a book that I have on my TBR. It's one that kind of intimidates me a little bit because last year, I did attempt to read his other series, The Faithful and the Fallen. And I gave the first book 3 stars and ended up DNFing the second book and the series just because it was too epic, I think, for me. And so I, kind of kept this one on my TBR as well because I think that the covers are so beautiful in this series. But I have heard that this one is better, or like if you weren't really a fan of the other series, to still give this one a try. And so I am open to giving it a try. Um, I don't really know very much about it, and I think I kind of want to keep it that way, just because I don't want to kind of like talk myself out of attempting this book, just based on like my other experience with this author so far. But it's the bonus prompt, so if I don't get to it, it's fine. Or if I end up not really enjoying this, I probably will just go to my local library and check out a book from them, just to fulfill the prompt. We'll see, because like I said, May is a busy month, and so who knows if I'm even going to be able to get to these books. So let me show you the stack that I have so far. So it's looking pretty chunky already. But then I do have a few other reads that I want to get to with like book clubs and things like that. Starting with Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. I am buddy reading this with some of the girls from my school book club that I co host with my friend Kelly. We want to read the book to prepare for the Netflix movie that's going to be coming out later this month. And so the ones who have read it are all like, you need to read it. So the ones who haven't read it were like, okay, we'll buddy read this because it's not like our May pick for the book club, just because like a lot of the girls have already read it. So this is a buddy read that I'm doing with some school friends. And our May pick for that book club is called Breakneck Bay. It is like set at a like a carnival or like a county fair or something. I'm not really sure, and like kind of like a true crime aspect to it. I'm not 100% sure. Some of the girls have already read it already and have kind of given it mixed reviews. And so I'm not entirely sure if I am actually going to read the book this month. I guess it'll kind of just depend, like maybe if I can get to it by the end of the month. My last day of school is the 22nd. So I'll have like a whole week of May where I am just planning to sit on the couch or sit out at the pool or sit out somewhere and just do nothing. So maybe I will get to it then. But that one's kind of like so low on the priority list right now that it may not happen. Another buddy or book club buddy read that I hope to get to in May is Across the, no, what is it called? Between the Pines by Amber Palmer. It's I'll put the cover up, and if I said the title wrong, I'll put the correct title down somewhere on the screen. But that is the May pick for the Kiss and Tell book club, which is hosted by Katie from I Would Rather Be Reading and Vanessa from Read with Dr. B. It is a book that I've had on my TBR for quite a while, and so I'm really excited to get to read it. This month it is another like cowboy romance. And this one, I don't know a whole lot about it, but just when I was watching Vanessa's TBR video earlier, she was reading the synopsis, and it seems like it might be like a second chance romance um, or something like that. But I don't know a whole lot going into it, but I'm really hoping that it is a win for me because, like I said, it's been on my TBR for a while and just never really had a reason to get to it. And now I do have a reason. But I'm hoping that having two cowboy romances on one, like to read in 1 month, isn't going to be like too much a cowboy romance. I don't know. I'm kind of new to the cowboy romance genre, so I don't know how much is going to be too much for me. So we will see. And then the other book that I have on my radar for this month is for the Buzzword reading challenge. Like I already talked about my cover challenge, which I'm fulfilling with the Faraway Inn, but the word for the month is like make or making or maker. And so I am going to read The Sun and the Star Maker by Rachel Griffin. I've never read anything by Rachel Griffin before. Is my Fairy Loot edition. This is a newer Fairy Loot pick. It is the young adult from the month of February. So this is one of the newer picks, but it's really pretty and it looks like it is going to be really beautiful and like wintry, which, who doesn't want to read a wintry book going into summer vacation? But I've heard good things about this and about this author, so I am excited to read this one for the Buzzword Reading Challenge for May. And then a couple of other books that are somewhat on my radar, but are not like necessarily that I feel like I have to read in May. It's like if I have time, then I might as well, because I have a couple of other books that I haven't gotten to from the Buzzword Challenge that, like if I have time, I can get to that. And that is the February pick, which was keyboard keys, like a word, like one of the words from the book had to be from a keyboard button. And I originally had the sacred space between, but then I ended up DNFing it. And so I didn't want to use a DNF book like as the challenge. So the only other book that I owned that fit the prompt was Slaying the Shifter Prince by Claire Sager, with shift being the keyboard key. And so I am excited to read this one. This one was like part of the series where it was like different authors, and like all the titles started with slaying, like slaying the vampire conqueror that Carissa Broadbent wrote, and slaying the shadow prince or something like that by Helen Shore. So that was part of this series, and so I am excited to read it. This is the Bookish Box edition of the book, but the original cover is also really, really stunning. So hopefully I can get to that sometime soon. And then I think that April, either March or April, I can't remember, but it was like a positional word. So like first, second, next, last. And so I have The Last Hour Between Worlds by Melissa Caruso. This one has been on my shelf. It was I got it in an Illumicrate box a couple of years ago. And it's just been sitting on my shelf, like staring at me. And so I hope to get to this one. I don't know a lot about it, but I think it has like time travel in it, so it's like more like sci-fi ish to it. So that one, I will use to fulfill that prompt. But like I said, these two are low. These two are low on the priority because they are like, just so long as I get to them by the end of the year, I'll be fine. Fine. And so this is now the TBR for a busy month. And then I have a few other books that are, on Kindle. So that's not even the entire stack. But that is my reading plans for May. And, hopefully I can get to them all. But if not, then, the books aren't going anywhere. They'll just roll over, or I'll just pick them up at another time. But, hopefully I can get to them all. So that wraps up my May TBR. Thank you so much for watching. And what I want to know from you is, what book are you looking forward to most for May? For me, it's obviously going to be the Ballad of Fallen Dragons by Sarah A. Parker. And if you don't have anything to say but want to let me know that you were here, you can leave me a sun emoji for the sun and the star maker, to let me know, and a sun for summer vacation. And I will hopefully see you in the next video. Bye.